No rest for the wicked. Oh my days!
Riding my bike in Colombia has been a dream for a long time, and recently I was lucky enough to finally make that trip for 2 weeks of filming for GCN. So seeing as I was in the neighbourhood, with a day to spare, I could not resist the chance to try and ride up one of the world's longest and most mythical climbs, the 81-kilometre Alto de Letras. Yes, 81 kilometres. It starts right here in the beautiful town of Mariquita, which sits at 468 metres of elevation. The summit, meanwhile, is 3,663 metres. To ride it all in one go means starting in this subtropical paradise with 30-degree temperatures and high humidity, and ending up, in all likelihood, in extremely cold and potentially very rainy conditions on the summit. So what that means is my jersey pockets are as full of clothing as they are of food, and there is an awful lot of that in there as well, because it's going to be a long day out. To put it in perspective, of course, to ride up and down this hill is going to be a century. So it's going to be pretty epic, and I better finish off my coffee, which professional cycling aficionados should note comes in a Café de Colombia cup. And incidentally, actually, the coffee inside it could have come from these very hillsides, because Mariquita actually sits at the southern point in Colombia's famous coffee production triangle. This area is blessed with many mountains. Colombia sits at the northern end of the mighty Andes, although here they're actually split into 3 distinct ranges. The westernmost, Cordillera Occidental, the eastern, Cordillera Oriental, and the Cordillera Central in the centre, which is where we are now. While not boasting the honour of having the highest peak in the country, the Cordillera Central does have more high mountains than its neighbours. And in fact, the lowest pass over it is still 3,299 metres. It is a paradise for cycling, and no wonder so many of the world's best call Colombia their home.
The list of big-name riders is seemingly endless, topped, of course, by none other than Tour de France winner Egan Bernal. But Mariquita has its own World Tour Pro now as well. Yes, Andre Ardila, who started this year for UAE Team Emirates in his first year as a pro, having won the Baby Giro last year. So he's one to watch as well. Now, the success, you think, perhaps down to the immense popularity of cycling as a sport here in Colombia. It could perhaps be down to the altitude that many of the riders live and train and indeed grew up at, although not Ardila, because we're just at 500 metres, remember. And so for him and many others, perhaps it's the access to these near endless climbs. Bam! There is no getting away from it. The gradient starts as soon as you leave Mariquita. Go to my Wahoo, it came in at 10%. Fortunately, it's eased back just a shade now, but clearly Alto de Letras means business. And in the back of my head, I just can't help but think, how do you pace an 80-kilometre long climb? Clearly, steadily would be the sensible answer, but then not exactly what I'm best at. I do want to emulate some of the Colombian climbing greats, albeit for 10 pedal revolutions. Now, before we get too far up this climb, let's talk about climbing speed, shall we? So the fastest recorded time on Strava is by a guy called Didier Chaparro, who's a Colombian pro, weighing in at just 54 kilos, he rocketed up here in 3 hours and 4 minutes, which is an average speed of 26 kilometers per hour. Phil Gaiman, meanwhile, could only manage 3 hours 20. So I'm hoping to be somewhere between the two. No, who am I kidding? Haven't had that much acclimatization time. And also, I'm running Vision Metron 55s as opposed to the shallower, slightly lighter 40s. So that's probably going to make the difference. But only those two things. But it's all academic anyway, because everyone looks slow compared to Santiago Botero, who has the unofficial record up here. He did 2 hours 50 in the Vuelta a Colombia back in 2007, which he then went on to win. Chapeau, Santiago.
So it turns out I didn't need quite so much ride food as I thought. Roadside fruit stand. This, a mini banana you might think, is a bocadillo. And it is insanely good. Well, we've got a bit of respite from the climbing as we go through the little town of Fresno. Got to be said, it's quite a busy road, this one, unsurprising given that it's one of only 2 paved passes over the Cordillera Central. There's 2 more, but they're dirt, so you can't imagine much of this traffic going over those ones. But, cool little place. No rest for the wicked. Now I hope you notice I'm keeping it in the big ring for this bit, just to try and impress everyone, make them think that I'm actually Egan Bernal, seems I'm riding his bike, or at least one like it. One of the incredible things about riding up a climb this long is seeing the vegetation change. Like, you might be used to 1 or 2, but we've already left subtropical behind. We're in amongst the coffee plantations and pasture land up here, and I think it's going to be the first of a few, judging by the fact that we've still got 2,000 meters left to climb. The air's cooler, much cooler. Nice trade-off for the fact that oxygen is becoming scarcer. But we're good. I think I'm making good progress. Not exactly an escarabajo. We're doing all right. I'm going to take a moment to freewheel. Oh my days! I've been paying close attention to the altitude on my Wahoo. It's not been particularly inspiring so far, given there are so many meters still to climb, but we have just ticked past quite an important milestone in that we've just gone through the equivalent height of Alto de Letras, probably the most famous climb in the Tour de France, and one that was once claimed as being far too short by Lucho Herrera, who was the first Colombian to ever win a Grand Tour. He took the Vuelta a España in 1987, and he was part of that first generation of Colombian pros to really make their mark in the cycling heartland of Europe. They were nicknamed Los Escarabajos, or Beetles, because of their climbing style that you'd think was honed on roads just like this one. Unfortunately, the generation that succeeded Herrera's didn't make quite such an impact in Europe,
That was partly because there were no big Colombian pro teams. So the Café de Colombia team that we nodded to earlier on closed its doors, as all pro cycling teams inevitably end up doing, and none, unfortunately, filled its shoes. Plus, a lot of people say that the rise of EPO in pro cycling effectively wiped out that natural advantage that Colombians have from living and training at altitude. Just had a last little bit of downhill. There's kind of 3 points at which the climb does actually stop and you get a little bit of respite, and it's very, very welcome. Whether or not it's cheating to classify as an 80k climb, if you got 3 descents in it, I don't know. They're blooming short, if that helps you make your mind up. Just ticking past the height of the Stelvio, which is nice, but I still got 20 kilometers to go and 1,000 meters of elevation gain. This is a fantastic stretch of road. It's like 4%, so it makes me feel like I'm going really fast, even though it's not actually very uphill, but good for morale. Last lap, I think. So at this point you start really hoping that you can trust the numbers. I got just under 80k on the clock. I'm absolutely hanging. I think I've been spending a few days at altitude. It's made a big difference. I feel a heck of a lot better than I did at the Taiwan KRM Challenge 2.5 years ago. I'm definitely not as fit as I was. You can see the vegetation changing again. It feels like high up here, doesn't it? The scenery is just epic. Santiago Botero's time is just gone. 2 hours 50 minutes elapsed. Just a couple of K shy of the summit. Yeah, no, unfortunately that's not quite true. And Phil Guyman's time might have gone as well. Shouldn't have stopped for bananas, or miniature bananas. Bocadillo, which I'm sure means sandwiches. Anyway. I think I can see something resembling a top now. It's absolutely freezing up here. The top can't come soon enough. I feel that tingling, that telltale sign that I'm about to blow my doors. Hey, is this it? Come on, there it is. I think this might be it. Oh, my lungs are burning. They're working overtime. Nothing's coming in. The air's just so thin. I'm not quite. That truly is an epic climb. One of the absolute greats, I'm sure of it. I need an empanada and a cerveza. That truly is a bucket list climb. There's no other way of describing it. If, however, you are fortunate enough to come out here and do Alto de Letras, just bear in mind that it is a really busy road. So take care out there and, well, yeah, maybe stick some lights on your bike and stuff like that, because it's busy. There's a lot of lorries out there. But anyway, you will undoubtedly love it. And it's worth pointing out as well that I think Colombia has climbs that are far superior to this one even. Maybe not quite so long, but equally as beautiful, if not more so, and much, much quieter as well. And definitely Colombia is a bucket list destination for any cyclist. Absolutely fantastic. Keep your eyes peeled for all the Colombia content that's going to be coming up on GCN in the next few months. There's some big stuff in the pipeline, and I'm very excited for you all to see it. Please give this video a big thumbs up, and we'll see you soon.